And welcome back to The Zone, everybody. I'm Brant Fowler, and this is the final installment of the 12 days of Zone 4. This is day 12, of course. Not quite in succession, like you guys have already discovered. Again, I apologize for that. Just holiday festivities and stuff. Anyway, for this last episode, I toyed with doing different things, and I was trying to figure out what would be the most, meaningful thing to do for this last installment. But then I got to thinking I'm probably overthinking a little bit. These are supposed to be shorter and fun, little audio extras or video. I know I only did like 2 videos, but whatever. Anyway, so I was thinking, why not just do a kind of a look back on the year 2014, as we're heading into the new year and things are about to change for Zone 4, and I'll talk about that a little bit at the end. I'm still going to keep this pretty brief. But just kind of looking back and thinking about some of my favorite things throughout 2014 in the world of comics, TV, film, and my personal life as well. So 2014 was a big year for me. You guys should all know by now, if you've been listening to the podcast for any period of time, that back in July, I moved from Kentucky, where I'd pretty much spent most of my life, to Texas. And just to give you guys a background, I was born in Georgia. I lived in Georgia for a year, then lived in Arizona for a year, back to Georgia for a year, then to South Carolina on a wildlife preservation island for a year. And then I moved to Kentucky and never left Kentucky until this year. So in July I moved. I don't want to go into too much detail of why I moved. Let's just say that the situation I was in was not the greatest situation. And I needed to get out, and I needed a fresh start. And Lisa Moore has been a very good friend of mine for like 5 or 6 years. We've worked together on many projects. She's like one of my best friends. And, she had an extra room. She had a place. So long story short, ended up in Texas in mid-July. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a great time here. My life is a lot more full now. Things are a lot lighter. I'm a lot happier, and it's been a really good thing for me. It's been a change. It's been a new start. So, in that aspect, the latter half of 2014 has been amazing for me, where the first half was not so much. So, it got me to focus on things and realize, what's really important to me, and has allowed me the freedom to, really concentrate on things that I'm passionate about. And I don't know, it's just been a really fresh, really nice, really exciting change for me. And it was something that I absolutely needed. So in that aspect, 2014 has been both a really bad year and a really good year for me. But, there's a lot of stuff in between there that I'm just not going to go into on this podcast. So, but yeah, it's just been a positive thing for me. I've been able to focus on my writing and, other things that I'm interested in and passionate about. I've gotten to catch up on certain things. I've gotten back into video gaming and reading and things like that I just really not had time for, and really not had the energy or the capacity for, in the past few years. So I've been really thankful and really blessed this year. Looking back on 2014 in the world of comics, I would have to say, and I've talked about this on the main show a few times, I'd have to say Original Sin was probably my favorite story from 2014. Because it was something different, it was unique, it had that mystery aspect to it, which I'm a big fan of mysteries. And, it just hit all notes. The art was fantastic, the writing was fantastic. There were plot twists, the characters were interesting, their interactions, their conflicts with each other. And, the things that came out of that, the revelations about each character that came out of that one story resonated, but it didn't overwhelm. like some other events do. And I think of all the companies, and all the events throughout comics in 2014, that has to be my favorite. Marvel, I feel like this year really set the bar. And while they have been better in the past, and I know the stories they're telling right now is not everybody's cup of tea, and the main Avengers stuff I've not been a fan of. But I feel like when you look at everything, I think they did more to keep my interest than any other company. And I'm saying that knowing that, I love Valiant and everything that they do. Quite frankly, I just got behind on reading Valiant. So it could have been a very different opinion had I kept up with all my reading. DC just did not hold me as well. They started off well in the beginning of 2014, but then it just kind of fell apart for me. And it was a lot of missteps on their part, in my opinion, until recently. Recently, things have gotten better, but Image is always hit and miss with me. There's some stuff I really like Birthright and Wayward, but there's other stuff that I try and I really don't like. So it's always hit and miss with Image and IDW. I just don't read enough of their stuff, honestly. Dynamite, I read a few things, but yeah, I think Marvel has really done it for me for this year. And Original Sin being at the top of that list, I think that was the story that really resonated with me personally the most. I did enjoy all new X-Men and some of the X-Men stuff going on as well, and obviously the Spider-Verse stuff I've really enjoyed. But I'd say Original Sin was probably the best story of 2014 for me personally. So looking back on the world of film, we had the Hobbit movie, which I talked about in a couple of episodes ago. I really enjoyed that movie, but I'd say definitely hands down Guardians of the Galaxy was my favorite movie of 2014. I've watched it 2 or 3 times now, and I had the screener copy. Eventually I'll be buying the full Blu-ray so I can have the extras and everything. But yeah, I think that movie just stands out above the rest. There were some other good movies this year, obviously. But Guardians of the Galaxy has to be the one that that excited me the most, that I was most anticipating, the one that I couldn't wait to see in the theaters. X-Men Days of Future Past, probably a close second for me. I really enjoyed that one. I watched that several times. I actually watched it again just the other night. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I totally forgot about that. That was this year. So there was just a lot of good movies. Yeah, they're all comic themed movies, but those were the best movies in my opinion. Amazing Spider-Man 2, I really liked, and I was rewatching that the other night as well. But it doesn't compare to the others, to the Marvel Studios films. Those just stand out above the rest. And X-Men Days of Future Past is Fox, and that one was really good as well. The way that it kind of overwrote some of the stupid decisions they made in previous movies. I appreciate the way they handled that. I did see the Lego movie. I thought it was okay. That was actually the last movie I watched with my mom before I moved here. We went out and watched it together, and it had gone to the dollar movie. And there were a lot of movies that I didn't get to see yet, like 300. The Veronica Mars movie, we talked about that on Frontline. I'm a huge fan of that, so that was one of those things I was glad it finally got made, and we got that closure with the whole franchise of Veronica Mars. I like that. And Transformers: Age of Extinction I think was good. It wasn't great, but it was really good. Trying to think if there were any other. I missed some of the big movies. I hope to see Hercules soon. I haven't seen Lucy. I haven't seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I do plan on watching because I want to give an honest opinion about it. I haven't seen the second Sin City yet. And there's a lot of movies I have not seen. Maze Runner. So of the ones I've seen, I think Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America 2 probably stand out as the absolute best of the year for me personally. So, but Hobbit is up there too. there was a lot of good movies. As far as my personal goals and everything with successes and failures and all that kind of thing, I've continued doing what I'm always doing, lettering and flatting and stuff like that. That keeps me going. The writing is something that took me by surprise, and I talked about this on the main show too. I was approached to do this story, and it was by somebody that has been following my blog and other things for years, and they invited me to be part of this anthology, and I was blown away and totally honored, and obviously I jumped on it. It was supposed to be out at Christmas time. There was a delay, so I'm not sure when it's going to be coming out now. But it will be coming out soon, and I'll be a published author. I'm really happy about that. I tried the NaNoWriMo thing, and even though I didn't succeed, I have that writing bug again. It's like the first part of this year and for the past couple of years, I haven't really been able to get my head around writing. I haven't been able to focus. And that's why a lot of the things with Zone 4 itself, we've started and stopped things, like the comic, like the board game, like some of the prizes that I still got to send you guys. My focus was just so split because I had so much going on in my personal life that I couldn't wrap my head around all this other stuff, and I wanted to do all this stuff, and I just could not do it all. But that's it. There's going to be a special episode of Zone 4 on January 9th. It's just going to be me talking to you guys. It's just going to be a short thing, giving you guys an update on the future of Zone 4, some ideas, some plans we have going forward with the podcast. So I hope you guys tune in for that, because it's going to be, there's some changes coming. So, but yeah, it's just, this has been kind of an awakening year for me, since I've been able to clear my mind and really focus on what I want and what I want to see accomplished through Zone 4 and in my own personal goals and everything. It's been a really good year of reflection and really good year of refocusing and reaffirming my passions and my goals in my life. So, and I thank you guys for this, because you guys have stuck with me and with the rest of the cast through all these years, and you've become true and loyal legionnaires, quote unquote, faithful listeners of the show each and every week. When it goes up, you guys listen, you give your comments, and I am so very thankful for that. You guys, the fact that you care, and I know I said all this in the video on Chris's channel, but the fact that you guys care enough to do that really means a lot to me. It makes me feel like this is something worthwhile doing. And in the times that I've thought about closing the door on Zone 4, which I have, and that was an option, hitting episode 300, yeah, it was one of the options I was considering, closing the doors on Zone 4, and I'll say that right here and right now for the first time publicly. But you guys keep bringing me back because you're fans, and you love hearing us talk about these topics, and you love interacting with us, and it really means something to me, and it keeps me coming back. And yes, we may reinvent the show because for me personally, I need to keep it fresh. If it gets stagnant at times, I get frustrated, and then I get to the point where I'm going through the motions and I'm not happy and I'm not having fun, and I don't like doing that. I like coming across when I'm having fun, and I like I don't know, I've never been one for monotony. I've never been one for patterns and that kind of thing. I like a little bit of my family and friends joke with me because I'm both analytical and spontaneous at the same time, which is kind of weird. It's like I'm an organized spontaneity. So it is an oxymoron, and it's an inner conflict, but it's there. I like organization. I like being professional. I like plans for certain things, but at the same time, I don't like to do the same thing over and over again because then I get bored. So, and I'm sure you guys do too, and I'm sure it comes through. So when these year-end things come, or these big milestones come in the show, I tend to reinvent. I tend to go outside the box. Tend to try to do something new with the show, and to keep it fresh and to keep it interesting and entertaining. And that's what I'm going to do. And again, I'll tell you guys all about this on January 9th. But yeah, I think overall I would call 2014 a success, or a success in the making. I think 2014 like I said, the first half of the year was very shaky for me. There was a lot going on in my personal life, and professionally, things were not quite where I wanted them to be. It kind of kept flip-flopping, and I went through a long period of time where I just couldn't do everything I needed to do and everything I wanted to do. And the second half of the year kind of gave me that jolt. It enabled me to take some time to readjust, reflect, and attack these things with a fresh perspective. And I think going into 2015, I'm in a really good place for Zone 4, for my professional career, for my personal career and goals, and everything is looking very good for 2015. And I'm very happy. And Zone 4 is a big part of that. You guys are a big part of that. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being part of my life and allowing me to come into your homes, your cars, your ears each week and talk about this stuff that I love. The comics and the movies and the TV and the video games and whatever else sparks our interest and takes us off into tangents. I appreciate the time you spend giving to us and sharing with us. So 2014, I'm gonna chalk it up as a success for me personally and for Zone 4. And going forward into 2015, just expect bigger and better. That's all. So that's going to wrap up the 12 days of Zone 4. Even though there was a slight delay in between the first 9 and the last 3. Hope you guys enjoyed these. Hope you got something out of them. And, I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback. If you like hearing things like this, if you like the extras and you want to see more of it, let me know. I'll be glad to oblige. So until next time, don't forget to tune in this Friday or this weekend for that very special, mature listeners only episode of Zone 4 with Chuck Kennedy, Carrie Kelly, John Wilson, myself as a classic Zone 4 kind of extra episode. And tune in January 9th for the update/announcements for Zone 4 going forward in the year 2015, because there are big plans. And until next time, thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out, zone4podcast.com. Check us out on Facebook. And I thank you so much. So until next time, you are now leaving Zone 4.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.